Hi everyone. Nikki M has just said 2 thumbs down before the stream has even started. Impressive. I am twice as popular as I was last week. Last week there was 1 thumbs down before I even started. This week 2 thumbs down. Let's go 4 next week, eh? Hi everyone. How are you? I can't hear a thing, says the Gambler Wins. I wasn't live. That's what you couldn't hear. Locked out until I watch an ad. Cool. Don't worry, you won't miss anything Tuesday time. 20% like, 4% dislike already. Liam Bovic says. I know my fans, they are devoted. You know what? I'm pretty sure where those 2 dislikes came from as well. I'm pretty sure I know the people who will be. Oh God, I forgot to put my makeup shit on. Oh fuck no, I can't do that. I've got really black eyes underneath. 4K camera, not good. I will be back in like 1 minute. Very sorry about that. It's probably not as it's still not not good because I rushed it. Yeah, I have to wear makeup to go to work. Jimmy Dore said that the other week. He cracks me up. Actually, saying that, he did an apology video. I was talking to somebody earlier about this. He did an apology video. Jimmy Dore did, because on Saturday he did a live stream and he ripped Joy Behar apart in a video because of Tulsi's appearance on The View, and he was obviously, you know, standing against the propaganda that she was receiving. And when I remember when he was talking about it, I remember thinking, yeah, Joy Behar didn't. She did. Joy Behar didn't. But you just, you know, I moved past it. It's like it's no big deal. It's Joy Behar. Who cares? And then he puts out a video apologising because he misinterpreted what Joy Behar was saying. Let me get this right. A Jagov nightclub comedian recording his shows for YouTube in his garage at home has more journalistic integrity than the entire media corps combined in the last 20 years. The Guardian still has that Paul Manafort met Assange crap in their embassy on their website, still there, with no editor's notes, with no notes to say it's been edited, even though it's been edited 1 million times. And even though every journalist worth his salt knows the whole story is totally fake and total bullshit, and they are silent on it. And that guy in his garage in California made one tiny little mistake and felt such a pang of guilt, he made a video apologising for it. Support independent media, because that is incredible. I was talking to a guy earlier about it, and he was like, I don't get this. The media don't apologise when they get everything wrong, and we go into war and millions die. This guy's apology. I don't know what sparked me on that. What made me go off on that? Oh yeah, I'll wear makeup to work. So yeah, hi everyone. So let's Gordon's gone all Hollywood. Makeup, makeup, I need makeup, says Bob Crutch. I know. Makeup. It's because of the camera. The camera's... It shows up every line you possibly could have. And I'm old. I've got lots of lines. Gordon must be walking his dog, hence the delay, says Hobby Rabbit. I took her earlier. She's so funny. She's so funny. I took her to the river and she fell in. She's just funny. Well, she usually jumps in, but this time she actually did fall in. Gordon, do you think the Euro elections should Article 50 be extended, act as a referendum? Simon, I'll come to it in a bit, mate. It's in my first story I'm going to get to. I do want to talk about this, though. Because you may have seen this week, my supporters, where are you? Long-time supporters will know that I've never had an intro. And in the last week, I've actually started looking at them. Looking into them, rather. So I want your advice in the stream, if you don't mind, on what you think the best intro is. Now, where am I? Okay, so... Oops. Oh, shit. 3 screens in front of me and I'm still running out of space. So, we've obviously got this one. This is the one that I've got at the moment. And I think people generally like it, don't they? However, what I want you to do is, that's one, right? I'm going to show you 3 more. And so this is number 2. Hold on a minute. This is number 2. You're going to like this. Because there's also, I can use this for the outro as well, watch. And then just a card at the end. So there's that. I haven't had a chance to really look at all these. There's this one which I don't really like. This is number 3. And then there's this one. This is number 4. This was a bonus one I was given. This is I think it's Oil of Ulay or something like that. This is inspired by. So I don't know. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, or 4? I like number 1. I must admit, I like the number 1. I think is the best, but I do like the second one as well. And I may sort of use the second one. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like this though, because I feel narcissistic having my name in big white letters behind me. I don't know. Second one is a bit too long. Yeah, I would cut it in half, Solar the Leftist. The second one, I would cut that in half and I would have it an intro and an outro. People generally seem to be saying number 1 or 2. No, all just bollocks. Stick to the original. Hi all, says 2-star. I think generally it's number 1 in, yeah, number 1. It looks like you've all got 1 or 2. Looks like you've all got the same sort of idea as I had. Yeah, 1 at the beginning, 2 at the end. That's an idea mystery. That's an idea. Number 1 at the 2. Number 2, because I do like number 2 as well. But as somebody said, it was a bit too long and I'd have to cut it down. So, cool, all right. Intro sorted then. I'll keep the intro as it is. I was going to anyway. I just thought I'd give you the illusion that this is a democratic exercise. It's not. It's a dictatorship, and what I say goes. But yeah, most people are saying number 1 and 2. Some are saying 3. And some, like Jet Sea-Doo, just says 1, 2, 3, 4 just to be an asshole. I like you, Jet. Well done. All right. I suppose we better get to this story then, hadn't we? Let me check that I've got everything loaded. God damn it. Here we go. Hi everyone. So I don't know whether you've noticed, if you pay close attention to what is happening on both sides of the Atlantic. The progressive sort of movement on both sides of the Atlantic, the leaders of them at least, Bernie Sanders in the United States and Jeremy Corbyn over here, coincidentally, right at the same time, are facing criticism from their base. Both of them at the same time. So it's in a bit of trouble. Now, Bernie got into trouble over a tweet that I will go into in some videos that I'm doing on him tomorrow. So I won't go into that tweet now, but suffice it to say, the tweet looks innocuous. You would think, most people would look at that and think, what? My immediately thought was, he's going to blow it if he continues doing this. And I'll cover that in a video. But the trouble over here with Jeremy Corbyn started last week with these guys. Now, I've done these guys, ladies and gents, these spineless splitters is what I've been calling from, and they are spineless splitters because they split and they will not hold a by-election. There's no way to force them to have a by-election, I don't think either. I've been looking into that and it looks like, yeah, there's no way to force them into a by-election, not unless they do one of 3 things and none of them have. So it looks like people in their constituents are stuck with them until the next election. Spineless splitters. But they split off from the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and these are all obviously rabid Remainers, and they're trying to force a Remain. Now, I treated them with derision. I treated them with contempt. I did several videos on them, and I laughed my ass off at them, as you all did. It was pathetic. It really was. And this is the way it should have been treated. And then the second wave of attacks came because Tom Watson was meeting with Jeremy Corbyn. And I did videos about this because Tom Watson is trying to obviously force Jeremy Corbyn to pursue a course which would lead to a second referendum. You know, Tom Watson, let's face it, is a Blairite. He stands for all the things that Jeremy Corbyn and Jeremy Corbyn's supporters, his base, stand against. You know, and Jeremy Corbyn, bless him, wherever and whatever he does, when he's negotiating with people, he always tries to reach out and negotiate with people. But on this occasion, I said, in fact, at the end of the video, I begged. I literally said, I beg you, don't capitulate to them. Tell them to bugger off. Which really disappointed me, because the next thing you know, instead of standing up to them, and instead of realising that people like Tom Watson and the other Blairite centrists in the party and these friends of Israel that are in the party, etc., and like the splitters, the spineless splitters who left, they're the cancer in the party. They're the thing that's stopping a real progressive movement on both sides of the Atlantic. I mean, they're the cancer in Labour, just the same as the corporate Democrats are a cancer to the progressive movement in the Democrats in the US. Don't capitulate to them. That's all he's got to do. Stand your ground. Your base will support you. And the next thing I know, there were reports that he's backing a second referendum. And it all happened very quickly like that. He met with Tom Watson and that was it. It's all over. He was backing a second referendum. Now, when this news came out that he was backing a second referendum, and it was headlines in the BBC, etc., and everybody was making assumptions and saying this is terrible, blah, 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 I started thinking, my first thought was, right, okay, what the fuck are you doing? The fuck are you doing? My first thought was, you have just thrown 25% probably of all the people in the United Kingdom north of Milton Keynes overboard. And what they think and what they care about with regards to Brexit, overboard. That was my second thought. First one, what the hell are you thinking? Second one, you've just thrown them overboard. For instance, I touched on this in a video I did the other day. I live in the West Midlands. I live in Wolverhampton. My constituency voted to leave the EU 2-1, almost. 63, 64%. It was almost 2-1. So you would think there our MP would reflect that in her votes, and no. She's a good MP, I thought, as well. And the more I've actually looked into her history, the more I'm finding, hold on a minute. Yeah, she wasn't all I thought she was after all. So Emma Reynolds is actually, she's been pushing for a people's vote, for a second referendum, in an area of the black country that has been ravaged by neoliberalism, that the EU and globalisation has destroyed. Because the black country was a massive manufacturing hub. It was where the manufacturing was done, mainly in the West Midlands. My grandfather used to make Spitfire planes down the road from where I live. And it's been devastated, the area has, because of globalisation, because of neoliberal constructs like the EU, which drive down wages and manufacturing jobs go bye-bye to China, to Vietnam, to Taiwan, etc. So these jobs, these people who have seen these jobs go, then saw a wave of Eastern European immigration as a result of all the wars. Obviously, we're bombing in the Middle East and all the flood into, and etc. And obviously, Eastern Europe is not doing too good within the EU. Surprise, surprise, it's a neoliberal construct. Really, only efficient exporters do well out of it. So all of the Eastern Europeans then flood into the Western Europe and into the United Kingdom, and then get exploited more than we can exploit the British workers over here. So guess what? Those British workers, A, are now out of a job, and B, the jobs that they can get hold of are all gig economy jobs with no guaranteed hours of work, etc., etc., etc. This is why they're saying no to the EU. I know this. I live right in the heart of it. Pursuing a second referendum is sticking the middle finger up to those people. That is your base support you are messing about with there. That's your base. All of these things are going through my mind, and none of them are good. None of them. None of these thoughts are good that are coming through my mind at the time. And then I see this, because Labour wanted to make a point of this. They wanted to make a big point that no, they said, no, they're not backing a second referendum. Actually, look, what we're saying is the full text of Labour's amendment to be tabled tomorrow reads that this House instructs ministers, A, to negotiate with the EU for changes to the political declaration to secure, 1, a permanent and comprehensive customs union with the EU. Okay, so what they're saying here is no. What the amendment is to say, right, okay, you go to the EU and you get these 5 things, and then we can have a Brexit. If you don't get these 5 things, then we will pursue a second referendum. Right, okay, so that's exactly what they've said. They haven't said that they will pursue a second referendum, just, you know, if they can't get these 5 things. But here's the problem. Number 1, a permanent and comprehensive customs union with the EU. That crosses a red line, a red line of the EU, unless it comes with it, you guessed it, free movement of people. How are they going to get that when it crosses an EU line? You can't have a permanent and comprehensive customs union with the EU. They are going to say no, not unless you have free movement of people. Now that, again, is going to be a red line in the sand for, guess what, your base. Base from, I don't know, the Midlands, in areas that have been screwed by globalisation and neoliberalism. This is not rocket science. But they've never explained how they're going to do that, by the way. Never. Never explained how they're going to do that and get over the fact that it's a red line for the EU. And obviously all these other things. Now, obviously this is impossible. What they're saying there is, you know, if you get these 5 things done, then we'll vote for your Brexit or whatever. But the thing is, they're not saying that really. This is what they're saying, but they're not. Because essentially what they're asking May to do here is to get these things added to the non-binding agreement that is outside and attached to the May's agreement that the EU have said they're not going to open, that Labour are not backing anyway. So what is the point of all this? What is the point of all this charade? Just come out and say you're backing a second referendum. Because all of this is nonsense. This is the way I'm looking at it. It's nonsense. You're backing a second referendum. That's what you're doing. You're saying we're in a situation where you're saying if that can't be done, that thing that's impossible can't be done and will never be done, then Brexit won't happen because it's a preposterous thing that they're putting forward here. It's just say you're coming out, you're backing a second referendum. That's what it is. Because this is all nonsense. This is all tasks to complete that are never going to be completed, that you know are never going to be completed, and you're just saying that because you know 25% of the people above Milton Keynes just said, you threw me overboard. This is why they're doing that, and it's damage control. So what they're saying is, unless they get this, then we're going to support a second referendum or people's vote. So in other words, just come out and say it, Labour, you're supporting a second referendum. So to all these people who have been running around on Twitter saying, no, it doesn't mean that. What it means is this. Shut the hell up. This is nonsense. And then what happens is if you start, saying this and explaining it to people on Twitter like I do, you start getting attacked by people who are obviously pro-Jeremy Corbyn. Now, I'm pro-Jeremy Corbyn, but that doesn't mean I can't look at him objectively and say, that's wrong, that's right. And you get torrents of people. This was decided in September, they say. This was decided at the party conference in September. Have you not been paying attention? Yes, to those people. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware of in September. And I distinctly remember doing a video in September saying to people like you, are you insane? You support Jeremy Corbyn and the European Union? You can't do both of these things. Are you nuts? Seriously, you're advocating for the same thing that Tony Blair wants. Whenever you advocate for something that's the same thing that Tony Blair wants, has history not taught you in the past to go, hold on a minute, maybe I should question everything about everything ever that I've ever thought about ever because I just agreed with Tony Blair? Did you not think about that? Did you not think that Tony Blair would be taking a stance that if it got through would hurt Jeremy Corbyn? That's what he does. He wakes up in the morning thinking about ways of hurting Jeremy Corbyn. But you went along with him in September anyway and forced Jeremy Corbyn into a position where now he's thrown 25% of the people north of Milton Keynes overboard. That is the way they're going to see it. I'm not saying that that's what he's done. I'm saying that that is the way they are going to see it. I know it. I've talked to people who have said basically that thing to me. From an area that is distinctly pro-leave and has been ravaged by neoliberalism, the very thing that we're trying to get away from with the EU And now Jeremy Corbyn, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but let me get to that in a second. First of all, I've mentioned Momentum a few times on my channel, and I've never done a video about them. I've never come down hard on them. I've seen a few things that they have done was ridiculous. Correct me if I'm wrong, weren't Momentum pushing for this in September? I seem to remember a lot of Momentum people pushing for this back in September. Now, if that is the case, and I will look into it more to see exactly what went on so I could cite things, but if that really is the case and my feeling is true, then they're doing the movement more harm than good, and they need to stop. I will look into that, and I'll be fair on them. But if they have been pushing this, as my memory banks seem to remember, you're doing more harm than good. You're agreeing with Tony Blair. That should be a big red warning flag everywhere. And if you want more proof that this is not good for Corbyn, if you want more proof that him backing this people's vote, as you've been trying to push him to do now for months, here is something Chuka Amuna retweeted yesterday after this news broke. By Siobhan McDonough, looks like the independent group have contributed to a big policy win for the People's Vote UK. Jeremy Corbyn, Emily Thornberry tell us UK Labour policy will be to support a people's vote. Congrats to all involved, but it would never have happened without these MPs. So to all those people or those Labour members who have been pushing for this to happen, have been pushing Jeremy Corbyn, have been backing him into a corner where he is now faced with, actually, I have to back a people's vote because the party have forced me into it, and if I don't do it, I'm seen as undemocratic. You have pushed him into a position that have made the independent group here the winners. They're gloating on Twitter. Well done. Well done. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you that pushing him into a position where second referendum is fallback is a bad move. I wasn't the only one. People who are far more experienced than me in politics were shouting it from the rooftops. George Galloway, I seem to remember, saying it was a very bad idea. Nobody listened to him. It doesn't matter that he's been basically right about everything for 30, 40 years with regards to the Labour Party. Nobody listened to him. That's my rant with regards to them over anyway. So if there is a vote, and if Article 50 is extended and we get a vote, and we get a people's vote, the question is obviously, what's the vote going to be on the vote? What's the question going to be on the question? That's what the question will be. Well, we don't have to, guess what Labour will be supporting if the vote is, I don't know, May's deal that can't get through Parliament versus Remain. And, sorry, I'll have to edit this clip because this thing has just totally buggered up on me.
He hasn't tried to.
Sorry, technical fault. So if the question is, the question is, what will the question be? What will be the question on the ballot in a second referendum if it goes that way, which it looks like it will now. It looks like it's certain for Article 50 to be extended and a people's vote to happen. Because let's face it, May, chances of her getting through a deal in the next few weeks, especially as I've been saying for forever, she doesn't want to give you Brexit. They're trying to delay it. Is the question going to be May's deal versus Remain? And if that's the case, which way will Labour actually vote? Well, we don't have to hypothesise on that. We know because Emily Thornberry actually went on Channel 4 and told Krishnan Murthy it. This is 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. It's towards the end that really worries me. Take a listen.
She hasn't tried to engage Parliament at all. You know, she lost her vote by 230, wasn't it? You know, the beginning of January, and she keeps asking for more time and more time and more time.
But what is your policy on the referendum?
So we think her game is my deal or no deal, and we think that her deal is disastrous. We think that no deal is disastrous. And so if that is what the choice is, then we will be asking for that to go before the public, for there to be a public vote.
And the question would be between what? Between no deal and the deal? Or would Remain be an option?
I mean, the difficulty is to a certain extent, we have to react to what it is that she does. So we're not entirely sure how this is going to play out. But what we're saying is that if we can't get our deal through, if we can't get through what we think is entirely reasonable, then anything else will be a disastrous Tory Brexit, and we would ask for the public to be able to have a vote on that.
Are you saying it's possible you could back a referendum that didn't have Remain on the list of choices?
No. So what I'm saying is that we would have a referendum on whatever deal it is that may or may not pass through Parliament, and we would be saying to the people, do you want this or do you want to remain? And so it would be like a confirmation referendum, a bit like what happened with the Good Friday Agreement. So that would be it. So there would be no Tory Brexit without there being a vote from the public.
Right. And which side of that referendum would you be on personally? Would you back the government's Brexit, or would you suggest we remain in the European Union?
Oh, listen, it's no secret. I think that it is in Britain's interest for us to remain in the European Union. I've always thought so, and I continue to think so. And so if there is a vote of that sort, I certainly will be campaigning for us to remain.
And would you be on the same side as Jeremy Corbyn?
Yeah, of course.
So he will definitely campaign in a referendum, in a second referendum, to remain in the European Union. You're in no doubt about that.
If it's a choice between a disastrous Tory Brexit or no deal and remaining, then that is what we will have to do.
And if that's what you have to do, and if it does come to that, Emily Thornberry, you will have just made sure that Jeremy Corbyn never, ever, ever becomes Prime Minister of this country. Ever. If that scenario plays out as she just explained it there, and the question on the ballot is May's deal versus Remain, and they back Remain, Jeremy Corbyn will never be Prime Minister of this country. Ever. And he'll probably lose. No, the Remain will win in that situation because May's deal is terrible. But you see my point. So the only aim really they should have now, if that's the case, and they are going to back this people's right, and it looks very much like they're going to do it. I can't see them backing out now. The question on the ballot is going to be the thing that either saves or sinks him. Because if that's the question, May's deal versus Remain, he's lost. And Tom Watson and Tony Blair and Chuka Umunna and all those others have won. Because if that's the scenario, forget it. Jeremy Corbyn's, he's finished. He's finished. He'll never be Prime Minister. Ever. Because the people who want to leave will never happen. But here's the thing. These are all hypothetical questions here that Krishnanga Murthy is throwing out there. And Emily Thornberry is obviously, is playing along with it. But I've shown this so many times now. But look, every time a vote went against the EU, it was either ignored or they were made to vote again. So now you can pretty much add Britain, 2019, Brexit, no vote, 48% or whatever it is, or the lost vote, 48%, outcome, made to vote again. Now, I've lost count of the amount of times I've showed this and made this point. But this is what led me to, okay, this is where we're all going to land. So that it's not like May wants a Brexit anyway. It's not like the Tories want a Brexit. So when you actually look at this and you start thinking about all these things, what starts to become clear, at least to me, is this was a giant game of chicken almost between Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May. And it was who was going to blink first. Was it going to be Jeremy Corbyn doing that and ending up backing a people's vote? Or was it going to be Theresa May in taking no deal off the table? Whoever blinks first loses. I think Jeremy Corbyn's just been forced to blink first by Chuka and the rest of the centrists in the Blairites. That's what it looks like to me. And what's worse is now we're in a position where the establishment have sort of almost made it seem as if they're trying to make it seem as if the EU or that is Hotel California, in that you can check out, but you can never leave. And this is what they're trying to make it out. It's not difficult, this isn't. It can be done. I've been saying over and over again, they cannot give you a Brexit as it stands, because to do that means more than likely, most possibly, the breakup of the United Kingdom, because it obviously would go against the Good Friday Agreement. Until they can get some sort of way around that, whether some technology is invented, that's not going to be the case. It's not going to happen. And no Prime Minister is going to do that and break up the United Kingdom. Theresa May has said it in a press conference. I showed it on other videos. Now, going back to Krishnaguru Murthy there, and going back to Emily Thornberry and these hypothetical questions that they're having as to whether it will end up being May's deal versus Remain, I've got news for you. If you honestly want to push this being the course of action, that there being a second referendum and the two options on the ballot being Remain or May's deal, then do you know which option people are going to take? They're going to take option C. They're going to put on yellow vests and they are going to start trashing stuff and causing lots and lots of damage. So I've been waiting for a spark. You know it, my subscribers know it. I've been waiting for a spark. If it gets to that stage and it doesn't spark, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think this yellow vest movement will ever come over here if that doesn't spark it. Because what they are saying, by giving that scenario and trying to make that scenario a possibility and see how it floats, what they're saying is, you know what, 17.4 million people? You're not going to have a Brexit. We never had any intention of giving you a Brexit. Voting doesn't matter in this country. And once you get to the stage where voting doesn't matter, that's when the yellow vests are donned. And that's when the elites of this country start realising that, hold on a minute, wow, shit. There really is a lot more of them than there is of us. That's it. That's my bit. Time to get my yellow vest out, everybody's saying. Right. I want to address something here. I didn't want to put this in the video. Right? I didn't want to put this in the video. But I need to address something because yeah. I'm not somebody, you see, who says, I told you so, and rubs it in people's faces. So I'm not going to say I told you so at all. Elliot from Scrubs is going to do it for me.
I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. Now in French, je te l'ai dit. Oui, c'est ça, je te l'ai dit. You want some German out in it, huh? Ich hab's gesagt. Ja, das stimmt, ich hab gesagt.
It really is rocket science, you know. So there you go. It does look like everything that I have been saying for a year is going to come true. It does look like that's the case. But to be honest, I was never in doubt. Ever. Gordon, please try and get Piers Corbyn on the show. Sure, Piers Corbyn will come on the show down live. Sure he will. Yeah. I'll get I'll get Al Pacino's brother. I don't know. Piers Corbyn, why him? Isn't he the nutcase, Piers Corbyn? On the show, Jeremy's brother, is he a staunch leaver? Isn't he? Doesn't he have some really strange views on things? I seem to remember he had a really strange, like, hold on a minute, like a flat Earth or something like that. I hope it was it was Piers Corbyn, yeah. Somebody who was really, you know, you would think that's Jeremy Corbyn's brother. No, I won't be getting Piers Corbyn on the show, mate. I don't think he would come on anyway, even if I did ask. Should have put a bet on it. I don't bet, Winslow. Sorry, I don't wager. If you're just joining the stream, please hit the like button and support Gordon. Uncle Torino, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. It really helps, especially when not just on the videos, but especially when live, because when live, you can really, if you can get onto the live trending and the top trending live thing, then you add. I mean, I got in. I think I got on there once, and I shot up from like 60 viewers to like 500 in like that. And it's all down to how many people like, percentage of people that are viewing compared to those who like the stream. So if, say, you've got 200 people viewing and 170 have liked it, that goes up in the rankings, and you start getting more and more exposure, more and more views. Then more and more people are exposed to what your content then, and that's how it grows. It's actually it's a decent system, but we need you to hit the like button and all that sort of shit. Gordon, Venezuela. Keith, be patient. Shh. Keith Durant in the chat, he must send me, I think, about 6 messages a day on keeping me up to date on Venezuela. Honestly, I can't keep up. But yeah, I've looked, Keith. I saw your emails earlier, mate. I've seen the video. Don't worry. Yeah, I had already set up tonight's stream before I'd seen that video, but I can add on that I've seen the video and what was in it. Like, yeah, I'll do. But that's the next story, so don't worry about it. Gordon Dimmack, the majority's consent was bought through Brexit immigration propaganda. Think Venezuela. Try and detach yourself. The majority's consent was bought through Brexit. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. The majority's consent was brought through from populism 2 times. It wasn't. It was populism. It was middle finger up to the EU. I've made this clear. Piers Corbyn is a massive climate change and ISI's Nicky M. Thank you. I knew there was something that it was like, come on, seriously. I thought it was dinosaurs or something like that maybe he didn't believe in. Ian Ford, Gordon thinks Rees-Mogg on his unicorn is going to fix anything. Ian Ford Gordon thinks Rees-Mogg on his unicorn is going. Yeah, Rees-Mogg is not going to fix everything. Rees-Mogg is not going to fix anything, Bob Crutch. Demonstration in front of Labour HQs asking Corbyn to back down, says Dan Reese, SP UK. If there's a second referendum, it must be multiple choice between no deal, May's deal, single market. There's no way you can. This is the thing, Dan. There's no way you can structure that second referendum that people are going to be happy with. Because as soon as you go down the route of 3 options, guess what? Remain wins straight away. Because I've said this multiple times. I've said if it comes to a referendum, I'm fine with it as long as Remain is not on the ballot. That's the only way that Jeremy Corbyn, I think, can get out of this, by the way. It's the only thing it's the only way. If he pursues a vote and Remain isn't on the ballot and it's a choice between May's deal and Corbyn's deal, and that is the way I thought that this second referendum would come, and you sort of have the second referendum combined with an election, if you remember. I floated that a while back. And then it would be May's deal versus Corbyn's deal in a second referendum. You can't have Remain on the ballot. You can't do it. All right? You can't. You have a second referendum and put Remain on the ballot. You have just ripped this country apart. ripped it apart. You are saying to millions of people, riot because voting doesn't matter. That's what you're saying. And you know what? Seriously, any of you saying that we need a people's vote, will you fucking listen to me for fuck's sake? You are saying to 17.4 million people, voting doesn't matter, go out and riot. That is what you're saying. Fucking listen. If you think for a second that 17.4 million people are going to be okay with remaining in the EU, and they're just going to go back and quiet because, oh, this is just too much and it's been going on too long and just, just forget about it, will you? Then you know what? Congratulations. You're the first person I have ever met who actually lives on a different fucking planet. Well done. Just honestly, it's insane the amount of stupidity there is around this. Just fucking think logically. If this happens, what will happen next? Not, oh, we need to have this happen without thinking of any consequences of it. They will not put no deal on the table, by the way. Somebody just said third option should be leave with no deal, then it democratic, says GK one MPO. They cannot put no deal on the table. No deal leads to the breakup of the United Kingdom. No deal does not fix the Northern Ireland border issue. This is why they have made it so toxic. No, forget no deal. Forget it. I've said this over and over, and I realise, by the way, that this stance puts me in direct opposition to what George Osborne has been saying. George Osborne, George Galloway has been saying for the last couple of months. He's been saying he thinks there's going to be a no-deal Brexit, or rather, he thinks that he says no. He was saying that it was leading down that way, and I was saying I contemplated it for about a day, and then I thought, no, it's nonsense. No deal doesn't fix Ireland border issue. No deal never happens. No deal breaks up the United Kingdom. Conservatives are never going to let that happen. Never. That's why I've said it was a game of chicken. Corbyn blinked. Shouldn't have blinked. And it was Chucker, and it was the centrists, and it was the Blairites. They were the ones who did it. They were the ones who did it. Andy Thomas, as he isn't in power, maybe he couldn't force that on the ballot. I assume you mean if there's a second referendum, Remain's going to be on there, and if Remain's on there, get your yellow vest ready. I'll get my camera ready to cover it, because they're going to be huge. 17.4 million people are not going to accept it if we end up remaining in the European Union after, 3 or 4 years of nonsense, 3 or 4 years of bureaucratic bullshit. 3 or 4 years of them kicking the can down the road when everybody can see exactly what they're doing, kicking the can down the road, frustrating it at every opportunity, making the one thing that is close to what people voted for in 2016 as toxic as possible, with headlines on the BBC like fucking Brexit threat to sandwiches, Brexit, no deal Brexit, biggest threat to insert whatever scares the shit out of the British public the most here. That's basically been the tactic, and it's fucking obvious. And if I can see it, you're damn sure the man on the street can see it. And if you end up remaining in the EU after 17.4 million people stuck their middle finger up to you 3 years ago, guess what? Those 17.4 million people are going to be in town centres up and down the country, and then you've got a real problem. They really need to wake up, because they haven't got a fucking clue what could be round the corner. Not a clue. You can see why it's a really good idea I didn't do this live stream at 9 p.m. yesterday. I was so close to doing it. But you know, when you're frustrated and you're angry, sometimes you miss certain things and it can cloud your judgment. Fortunately, I don't think I have. But it's so frustrating, Because they are literally proving to the entire country right now, these politicians in Westminster, they are proving to they're proving to the world that voting in the United Kingdom doesn't matter. That's what they're proving. Congratulations. Well done. Keith Durant says that 17.4 million will be added to by the Remainers who believe in democracy. The ones who say my country voted for, so I should stand with that. No, they won't, Keith. No, they won't. You're missing the point. If the other option is May's deal, that's worse. That's what if that's what you end up with, fucking hell. If you wanted to stop in the European Union and you wanted to frustrate Brexit, then you know what's happened in the last 2.5 years. If that question is the one that's on the ballot, wow, well, isn't that convenient? That's Remain versus something that is worse. That even people who want Brexit say that's worse. That's not even Brexit. That's a Brexit in name only. That's a tie things up in bureaucratic red tape for the next 80 years. That's what that is. People won't vote. They'll be on the streets. You're saying to 70, they are flirting with saying to half the country, your vote doesn't fucking matter. Democracy is dead in the United Kingdom. This is honestly what both parties. This is what they've done to the country. To the entire country. This is what they've done. Got to the point where, you know what? Voting doesn't fucking matter in the United Kingdom. Doesn't matter. You get a choice between A, you get a choice between B. B, please. Nah, sorry, mate. You're getting A and you'll be fucking happy. That's basically what they're saying to the country. I'm not the only one who thinks this. I'm just giving you the thoughts of, this is what people are thinking. People are pissed. Gordon, do you think there is no correct answer to Brexit? That's the conclusion I have come to. Yes, there is, Barry Boy. There's an easy answer to Brexit. But even the easy answer to Brexit has repercussions. The easy answer to Brexit is to say, Ireland, would you like to reunify as the island of Ireland, Northern Ireland, or would you like independence? What is your thoughts on this? Because you want to stop in the... This is what they can do. That's the option. That's the way to have Brexit. But they won't do that because it's breaking... It's the very real... It leads to the very real possibility of the breakup of the United Kingdom. Do you see? So the answer is, yes, you can have a Brexit, no problem, but it will probably break up the United Kingdom. Weird, isn't it? Nobody fucking thought of that in 2015. David Cameron didn't even cross his mind. Fucking idiot. Change the topic, Gordon. I'm sick of Brexit, says Martin Evans. I cannot agree with you more, Martin Evans. I'm all Brexited out, especially after the last 2 days, because you can imagine, however much you've read about it, mate, you know, the amount of I had to read about it to come to those conclusions was absolutely unbelievable. Now, I want to forewarn people. Tomorrow I will be doing my second The Good, the Bad and the Ugly video series on people, and tomorrow will be on Bernie Sanders in light of his latest he's doing the same thing as Corbyn. They're doing the same. They're reaching... Fuck! I've just remembered. Fuck. Let me just do this to camera. Sorry, people. Sorry. Let me just do this camera. Future Gordon, add this onto that video somewhere. So the thing with Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn, the thing that's got them into trouble is they've been reaching out to people to try and placate people who, even if they are placated, you're still not going to gain any support from it. All you're going to do is not be smeared on a certain point. So they're reaching out. For instance, Jeremy Corbyn is reaching out to Tom Watson. And Bernie is reaching out to the establishment by also pushing the humanitarian aid rhetoric. They're reaching out. In both circumstances, they have been smeared anyway. Corbyn got smeared anyway, and he got a lot of smeared anyway. So Corbyn didn't get any kudos from people for meeting with Tom Watson. No. Nobody on the other side was saying, yes, Jeremy Corbyn, thank you for meeting Tom Watson. I'm going to support you there. No. But what it does do is alienate everybody who really is supporting you and knows why they're supporting you. And both of them have done the same thing. Bernie did a town hall, and he wouldn't say that Maduro was a dictator, so they attacked him on that. But he would say stuff about the humanitarian aid, that needed to get in. Which is obviously pushing, a pro-regime change. It's pushing what the neocons want him to say. Jeremy Corbyn reaches out to Tom Watson, reaches out to people left, right and centre, as he does, bless him. But even if he placates the other people, he's not going to gain any support. And by doing what he's doing, he's actually going to lose it. Do you see my point? Nothing is going to be gained. But he will alienate his base by doing the same thing. All right, I wanted to do that point, and I'll add that to the video. Gordon, add that to the video tomorrow. But yeah, that's the point. What's the point? What's the point in Jeremy Corbyn reaching out to people like Tom Watson, etc.? What's the point? What is the point? The next time Jeremy Corbyn is in trouble, will Tom Watson come running to his aid? No. People like Tom Watson will take that opportunity as well to stab Jeremy Corbyn in the back and cause as much problems. And if you don't think that that is the case, just look at the last 3 years. So he's trying to placate people who are a cancer of his party. Tell them to fuck off. The media are going to smear you anyway. Regardless of what you do, the media are going to attack you. So at least do what your base want you to do. At least do the one thing that actually might get you support, rather than gain you no friends and lose support in the stead. I can't quite understand the thought of this. I've been thinking maybe Jeremy Corbyn has got a few three-dimensional chess moves coming in the future. We'll see. But he just seems to be heading down a cul-de-sac at the moment that ends in him never becoming Prime Minister of this country ever. Right. Oh yeah, I had some super chats, didn't I? While I was starting that. Wow, I've only done one story. We've been going an hour. Where am I? No, I don't want that. I want that. Right. Let's check the super chat. We are. Sorry, everyone. There's some super chats came through and they've disappeared from the chat on my right screen, so I've got to go into the settings and what have you. And Monkismo says centrists in the US are blaming Brexit on Russian propaganda. For fuck's sake! Cheers from North Carolina. Thank you, Monkismo. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, the centrists in the US, they'll blame anything on Russia, I mean, I walk around all day, if something goes wrong, fucking Russians, and it literally is, that is the case in America. They're blaming everything on Russia, everything they possibly can. And obviously, you know, they're having to do that because they've got to obviously back up the, you know, Russians hacked the DNC, and that's why we got Trump narrative, which is, as we know, complete bollocks. It's called WikiLeaks. Q's in the name. Not called WikiHacks. There's a reason behind that. Eh? Fucking the DNC back then was probably hacked by every single fucking country in the world. The CrowdStrike found so much malware and so many VPSs that were running this malware on DNC. Julian Assange, I saw one interview with Julian Assange, and he said, "Yeah, I've talked to people who evaluated the DNC's website security, and they said it was like Swiss cheese." There was malware all over the place, you know, and they're saying, "Oh no, it was Russians that hacked it." Get out of it, man. Go and have a word with Bill Binney. Go on, go and have a word with Bill Binney. He'll tell you all about it. Transfer data and, you know, Operation X key score. It's a wonderful thing. If you actually get to facts, if you look at facts, Russiagate falls apart even before you start. The whole story just goes poof. You know? Unlike, you know, the power in Fargo, the Russiagate story goes poof. Can't believe she said that. What would happen one day if the power in Fargo just went poof and the Russians did it? What did Rachel Maddow just... Seriously, Rachel Maddow seriously said that. She was trying to blame the cold snap on Russians. So monkeys, well, yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. Morpheus says, hi, Morpheus says, "Gordon, you filthy commie, take my Labour surplus value." Thank you very much, Morpheus. Did you send me that €5 because you think I am the one? If so, I'm honoured. I have got another story to do, and this is one that I haven't prepared for as well as I did the other one because I didn't have the time. Sorry about that. Hi everyone. I wanted to do an update on Venezuela because there's been more nonsense about Venezuela in the news. When I did a video the other day and I was mentioning how some truck had been set alight, and it was sort of breaking news at the time, so I was quite vague on what I said. But I did see that there were reports that this humanitarian that a truck had been set alight on the border of Venezuela. There were a lot of accusations that actually it wasn't Venezuelans who did this, it was people on the other side. And obviously at the time there was a big furore surrounding it, and I'll get into it in a minute, but it was quite bad. So I want to unpack exactly what went on there. And as whenever I can, whenever you try and, you know, decipher a story that's gone on anywhere in the world, go to people on the ground, and there happens to be a trusted source on the ground in Venezuela that we can go to, and that's Max Blumenthal, because this is from the Grey Zone Project. Burning aid and interventionist deception on Colombia-Venezuela bridge. So this is the big story. One of these aid trucks that are waiting to get into Venezuela. It is hilarious. Can I just take a moment just to say this? It is hilarious that the media are running with this narrative. It's hilarious that they're running with this narrative that that the Venezuelans are not accepting aid when they are. They're accepting aid from Russia, from the UN, they're accepting aid from multiple countries. It's just they're not accepting aid from the country that, I don't know, has been trying to overthrow them and overthrow their leadership and overthrow their constitution, chuck it in the bin for the last 2 decades, and basically been terrorising and killing their neighbours for the last 70 years. kind of wouldn't, I don't think, if I was living in that situation, I don't think I'd want that humanitarian aid coming in, especially if it was being brought in by Elliot Abrams, a man who was being convicted of bringing in weapons to the country through humanitarian aid. It's preposterous, the angle that the media are taking. Just on the face of it, it's ridiculous. They are accepting aid. Stop lying. So back to the grey zone. Senator Marco Rubio and coup leaders claim that the Venezuelan National Guard burned US aid trucks on the bridge in Colombia, but all available evidence points to the opposite direction. By Max Blumenthal, well, what a bloody surprise. Something that the Americans and the American media were asserting actually was the opposite way round. All the evidence points to the opposite way round. Where have I heard all that before? Hack on the DNC. Caracas, Venezuela. The Trump administration's coup against Venezuela culminated on February the 23rd, with US-backed opposition attempting to ram several trucks loaded with boxes of US aid, humanitarian aid, in quotations, obviously, across the previously unused Francisco de Paula Santander Bridge connecting Colombia to Venezuela. The trucks failed to reach the other side, but that was never really the point of the stunt. As Father Sergio Munez, a right-wing Venezuelan activist posted on the Colombian side of the border, explained to journalist Dan Cohen, the humanitarian aid, in quotations, was a purely symbolic provocation aimed at discrediting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in international eyes and generating waves of destabilizing violence. Where have I heard this before? Every single coup that America's ever done? By the end of the day, the trucks lined up on the Francisco de Paula Santander Bridge were flanked by gangs of guarimbas. And guarimbas are these people on the ground who are, right-wing sort of... They're very violent right-wing. I mean, to say they're right-wing, they're just violent protesters. I take that back. They're not right. They're just violent protesters. And in lots of instances, they are well-paid violent protesters. That's who the guarimbos are. These were the nihilistic masked youth who form the shock troops of the right-wing opposition. Actually, Max does go on to say right-wing opposition there. And who plays... Oh, so it's the right-wing opposition, but they're not necessarily right-wingers. They're just obviously thugs. And who placed Caracas under siege with violent barricade protests known as guarimbas at several points between 2014 and 2017. Oh, I see. So it's the guarimbas are these things that they're blocking. It's not the people. I thought for some reason the guarimbas were the people who are being paid. Anyway, you see my point. A mob of guarimba... Oh, there you go. Have I just read that wrong, Max? Okay. I'll say that again. These were the nihilistic masked youth who formed the shock troops of the right-wing opposition and who placed Caracas under siege with violent barricade protests, known as guarimbas, at several points between 2014 and 2017. A mob of guarimberos burned to death Orlando Figuera, a 22-year-old black Venezuelan accused of supporting Maduro. I remember that. There was actually, he wasn't the only one. There were several. That were burned. It was just horrific. On the Santander Bridge of February the 23rd, the guarimberos rained down a hail of rocks and Molotov cocktails on Venezuelan National Guardsmen holding the line against the US aid trucks. Suddenly, the trucks caught fire and the masked youth began unloading boxes of aid before they burned. Within minutes, pro-opposition media reported that the Venezuelan National Guard forces were responsible for the fires. So, these are the reports that I was reading the other day when I mentioned this. And this is what I wanted to get to the bottom of. And I'm glad Max obviously did this. It's a trusted source to find out exactly what is going on. A reporter for the private anti-government channel NTN24 claimed without evidence that the Venezuelan security forces had caused the fires with tear gas. How the... Tear gas. Tear gas. Really? Tear gas isn't combustible, is it? If tear gas is combustible, why are they chucking it in the middle of a load of people? It's not. Tear gas isn't going to start fires, you idiots. You can see here, I wasn't the only one thing in this. Another false flag at the border with Colombia, she said. A reporter from NTN24, opposition to a TV known for fake news, said a truck went on fire because the Venezuelan police launched tear gas. Let me know if you've seen tear gas burn a truck. Come on. The claim was absurd on its face. I have personally witnessed tear gas canisters hit every kind of vehicle imaginable on the occupied Palestinian West Bank, and I have never seen a fire like the one that erupted on the Santander Bridge. We'll get to why you have never seen, those canisters cause those fires, tear gas canisters cause those fires before in a minute, because it wasn't a tear gas canister, but hey. In 2013, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department deployed special incendiary tear gas canisters, burners, to torch the house where fugitive cop killer Chris Dorner had holed up. But it is highly unlikely that the Venezuelan National Guardsmen had anything like this weapon in their arsenal when they confronted the rioters on February 23rd. So that's a little caveat he's put in there just in case anybody goes, well, actually, they can. Well done, Max. The total lack of evidence of Venezuelan culpability did not stop Cuban-American Senator Marco Rubio, Little Marco, from tweeting this accusation from nearby in Cucuta, I think that's how you present that, Cucuta, Colombia. And this is what he said. The whole world saw the regime use security forces and gangs to injure and kill unarmed civilians. The whole world saw them set fire to 3 trucks carrying food and other humanitarian aid. They will soon realise just how badly they overplayed their hand today. And that was, that was Marco's response. It wasn't his own response. He was obviously tweeting about Venezuela all day long, and in between a series of tweets about Venezuela, he decided to randomly tweet images of Gaddafi just before he had a bayonet inserted in his rectum and killed after the coup that America led again in Libya and turned that country from the richest country in Africa to a country that is a failed state and now has slave markets, open slave trade in the markets. That's in the middle of a dozen tweets about Venezuela, and it's still up. There's no veil on that. That's not a veiled death threat at all. That's a death threat. There is no veil. There's no way you can spin it. If you look at the context and you look at what he's tweeting about all in day long, that's a death threat. Twitter, no problem. No problem. If I went on Twitter right now and threatened to kill somebody, my account would be deleted in about 30 minutes. That's still up. Now people can say there's no words there, blah blah. Listen, come on. Come on. I can't believe Twitter have the gall to even say they have, rules that they apply evenly and fairly, because they obviously don't. If that was anybody else, if that was somebody without a blue check mark, forget it. They're banned. This is why it's all happening, in my point. Sorry. Start again. So the question is, I suppose, why is this all happening? I mean, I told you I hadn't fully prepared. So the thing is, Marco Rubio is obviously tweeting out there, and everybody, the whole media in America all went, hey, this must be what happened then. These aid trucks were burned down, it's the Venezuelans' fault. Well, so the thing is, that's not the case at all, because Max goes on to explain in his article how Dianne Feinstein actually jumped on what Marco had said in that one tweet I read out. Dianne Feinstein really needs to shut the hell up. If anybody has seen the video of her with the children who had came to her with a petition on climate change, any politician that reacts to children that way, children that are actually getting involved in politics at such a young age, any politician in the world that reacts to children the way she did did should quit politics immediately in shame. It was horrific. There were videos about it. I'm sure you've seen what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go check it afterwards, because it's horrific what she did to those children. It was terrible. It was disgusting. It's so detached from reality. So Max goes on to explain that actually Dianne Feinstein and other people, or the senators, jumped on the bandwagon, and obviously the press jumped on the bandwagon as well. But then, you know, once people who were asking for evidence before they made assertions, once they got their evidence, it painted quite a different story, because this is from a guy called, let me just get his name right, Humberto Ortiz. My Spanish is quite rusty, but that pretty much says Noticias Uno is some sort of media company, and it's basically saying maybe the media company can, you know, try and identify this boy, or identify if it was this boy that set fire to the humanitarian truck. Just watch this. This is plain as day as to actually what happened. See? There you go. And watch where it lands on the other side. Yeah, there's the arrow. That's where it lands. And now we just go around the corner of this truck. Just as, just as we suspected, and just as has happened before in Venezuela, the finger of blame has been pointed towards Maduro, or Chavez it was previously, of, you know, and the Venezuelan authorities from doing this violence. And it turns out actually it's the other side that has done it. It's not the first time this has happened, you know, and they are desperate to get this regime change happened. Now, I don't know about you, but this regime change feels a little bit different to all the others. Now, it's always been the plan, obviously. It's been a long time in the making. After all, it's been, what was it, 2009, when Saudi Arabia started overproducing oil and driving the price down, which crushed Venezuela. So it was always the plan for America to obviously, you know, either overthrow Venezuela or get them to bend to their will. But it does feel like this coup attempt, first of all, it's failed to get the military, which we didn't think it was going to, that was going to happen anyway. But it failed to get the military, and they thought it would. And now they're in a situation where it feels like it's being rushed. This does. I don't know how you feel, but it does to me. It doesn't feel as meticulous and as planned as other coups. So you've got to ask why. And it's curious that at the same time this is going on, because Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince MBS, is going on a charm offensive towards China. Now, I'm going to try and... This isn't journalism, so to speak. Let me just... this isn't journalism, so to speak, so I'm going to read the BBC. No. Let me just read a little bit of this, just to give you an idea of what's going on with MBS. So Saudi Arabia has embarked on a global charm offensive. Again, you remember he did one not long ago. Started in France, then he went to the UK, then the US, blah, 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 and not long after, there was a alleged chemical attack in Syria that didn't turn out to be a chemical attack. It's around that time when he was doing this charm offensive of the West. In the last few days, he's appointed his first ever female ambassador. Well done. Yeah, I wonder if the BBC congratulated Syria and Bashar al-Assad for doing that about 10, 20 years ago, or whatever it was. He's got a top diplomatic post. Washington, D.C., while its de facto leader, the controversial Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has just concluded a high-profile tour of Asia, discussing billions of dollars worth of trade and investment deals with China, Pakistan, and India. Less than 5 months have elapsed since the West recoiled in horror over the grisly planned murder of Saudi journalist and critic Jamal Khashoggi inside Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul. The CIA and most Western intelligence agencies concluded that the Crown Prince, known as MBS, was most likely behind the murder, something Saudi officials strongly deny. Previously feted by Western cities, MBS was largely shunned by the West at the recent G20 summit in Buenos Aires. So you can imagine, right? MBS has come to power. MBS has come to power. He's obviously ousted his family or whatever he did, and locked him in a bloody tower somewhere. But he's obviously overthrown. He's overthrown his family, and he's come to power, and he's gone on a charm offensive, and obviously everybody's very happy with the relationship between the West and the Saudi Arabians. But Mohammed bin Salman sort of understands more, I think, than his predecessors, that the Saudi Arabia have quite a lot more power and weight than his predecessors thought. And there was a journalist who was causing him problems, so they got them invited to the Turkish embassy, chopped him up, dissolved him in acid. One person who's going to care about this journalist who was a Washington Post journalist. Well, the problem is the West, and by I say the West, I mean America, United Kingdom, France, blah, 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 blah. They're all horrified and recoiled. As you read in that article, they've recoiled from MBS, and he's been pretty much toxic. There have been calls in America and calls in France and calls in the United Kingdom, primarily in the United Kingdom from what I can see, certainly from my field of view, have been calling for an end of the sales of weapons to Saudi Arabia. Now, I was saying this not because of Khashoggi, but because of obviously the human rights violations going on in Yemen. But obviously the Khashoggi affair, it came into the fore, and then more people are saying, no, we don't sell them weapons. Now, you can imagine Mohammed bin Salman's view here, can't you? You can imagine him looking at the West and his Western partners and saying, hold on a minute, for the last 20 years, you've been lighting the Middle East on fire. You've been killing millions upon millions of innocent people have been killed. And you're saying, I'm a pariah because I killed one journalist. I'm not sure about this relationship that we have, West. I think maybe I'm going to take my business to other countries that maybe aren't, so worried about human rights violations. For instance, China, who have 1 billion people and no human rights. And this is why I do get the feeling that this has been rushed, this coup attempt in Venezuela, and I do get the feeling that this is because of it. Because America really are joined with Saudi Arabia. They really are joined. Their money is based on the product that comes out from Saudi Arabia's ground. The petrodollar. That's what it all comes down to. That is, I think, the reason behind this Venezuelan coup, why it's happening now, and why it just seems so rushed. But of course, I'm well aware that this is a hypothetical. It's just my take on it. And I'm also well aware that this might have been the plan all along, but it's just been played out by Donald Trump, Bolton, Pompeo, and Elliot What's-His-Face, who are all totally incompetent. It could be that. But there's no doubt in my mind that the MBS Khashoggi murder and the Venezuela coup that is being attempted right now and failing, yeah, those two things, they're connected, most definitely. Let me check I've got everything here. It was a bit short, that does. No. Like I say, I didn't prepare for that one as much as the other one, because the other one had so much to unpack. Let's have a look at the chat. Gordon, someone is deleting my messages 5 times already. It depends if you send if you're sending the same message 5 times over and over, it probably is getting deleted. Oh, Lawrence Taylor, sorry I'm late. You're not excused, Lawrence. 9 o'clock Tuesday, you know. In fact, no, I'm not accepting it. You know what? Stay after class, Lawrence. You're writing lines on the blackboard. I do not accept tardiness. Right. I think that's everything I want to cover tonight, everybody. Right, there is one thing I want to cover. There is one thing I want to end on, actually. Just double check. Okay, this is a call. I might actually leave this as a little video. Hi everyone. This is I just want to do a little video just to just to make you all aware, make as many people as well as I can of this that is actually going to be going on March the 10th, because there is a solidarity vigil on March the 10th in London for Julian Assange, and I am going to go down there. If you can help me fund it, that would be great. It only cost me about £150 for train tickets, etc. So, if you can help me with funding, and I am going to go down there on March the 10th and cover this. And I want to just to do a little video just to say, get down there as many people as possible. March the 10th, there is going to be one, I believe, in conjunction at the same time in other embassies around the world. I know definitely Australia is taking place. So March the 10th, day of action. Support Julian Assange. Support freedom of the press. And support whistleblowers. More importantly, we need more of them. March the 10th, Ecuadorian Embassy, London. I will be there. There you go, everybody. So I'll actually speak to Emmy. I'll contact Emmy tomorrow. Probably I won't do it tonight. That's right, folks. £150 on a train just to go from Birmingham to London. So schmolly sking. It didn't cost that much, but it was pretty much. It was. Yeah, it was. It wasn't cheap. It's not just that; it's taxes, etc. When you get there, blah 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 blah. It's, and it costs a bit, and £100 is not nothing. Okay, Two-Time says, are you able to maintain the comments in these sections that you edit down during the rest of the week? Seems a shame to lose the social media's opinions. I don't, mate. Two-Time, I don't moderate anything, mate. I delete stuff if somebody's just being a twat, but I don't delete stuff. I don't. Nikki moderates the chat. All Nikki will do is take away any stuff that's anti-Semitic or racist. That's all she will do. She won't stop free speech, and I'm not. And I'm fucked if YouTube is going to hold me responsible for comments made on their platform. So yeah, I don't moderate anything, mate. I don't moderate anything, and I don't shut people up. There are a couple of people who I've muted. They still tap away because I see the comments. They still tap away, but nobody else does. They think that everybody can see their comments, but nobody can. But there's a few people I've muted just because every single time they say something, it's anti-Semitic or racist. I don't believe in censorship. Nikki's told, I said, Nikki said to me, what shall I check? And I just said, listen, if there's any anti-Semitic stuff in there, if there's any racism stuff in there, obviously get it off, anything like that, delete it. But other than that, and Nikki's done great. It's buy your ticket in advance, Gordon, it'll be cheaper. I do, Nikki. It's still £44 there direct. It was last time. It's 44 there and 22 back, I think it was. Because I came back later on the night time and got one of those super off-peak things. But yeah, half of that £150 will go in travel, and the other half will go in, airtime and all that sort of shit, and you know, because I have to buy a package for the phone, because I don't actually use my phone that much, so I have to buy a package for the phone. There's another 20, 25, whatever it is, and it adds up, and then there's food, and there's taxes, etc. So last time it cost me about 150 quid. I am going down there, but would be great. Damon Alavey, thanks very much for your donation, mate. He says Blair Starmer's coup is complete neo-libs will usher out Corbyn, and Owen Jones and The Guardian will gaslight Labour members. Yeah, they will, Darren. You're spot on with that, mate. Owen Jones, you know, this is the sort of shit, you know, that's why he's elevated. Sure of it, you know. He may not be paid and aware of what he's doing, but he's certainly got the job because that's what he's doing. Do you see my point? He's there because he does what he does, and what he does is helpful. If he was there doing what he does and it wasn't helpful, he wouldn't be there. Or if he was there doing what he does, saying something that was inconvenient, they wouldn't hire him. Do you see what I mean? Just my point. You're right. It's very astute, that is. And I wouldn't say it's complete yet. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's complete yet, Damon, but I will say he's on dodgy ground, Corbyn is right now. He's on dodgy ground, and I just get the feeling that whoever the hell is advising him just needs to listen to some people on the ground. I think that's the case. Go and listen to people. Go and ask them. Go and ask people in the Midlands. Go and ask them. You know, I'm damn sure my MP didn't. Emma Reynolds. I'm damn sure she doesn't give a shit the fact that people voted for Brexit in her constituency 2-1 against almost. She doesn't give a shit. She's pushing for a people's vote. She's already said to her constituency, "Be quiet, everybody. I know what I'm doing." She's already said that. This is why remember when Kate Howie everybody was ripping her because she was siding with May and siding with her leave Brexit. She wanted to leave Brexit. I came down on her because her constituency voted to stay. Do you see? I'm consistent. I'll attack one person for leaving and one person for saying they want to stay, but it's only because both of them are going against the wishes of their constituents, the very people that voted them in, to say to them, will you please do us the honour of representing our views on what we vote on and what we think is important in the House of Commons for us, please. Emma Reynolds, my MP, totally forgotten that. Totally. How can she even condone that behaviour? There is no condoning it. This is why people came down so hard on Kate Howie. And you know what? I think the only reason that people haven't come down on Emma Reynolds is I don't think anybody checked. I think I'm the only one. She'll be receiving a nice letter from me, I think, round about tomorrow or the day after. That's not what I'm saying. They do not appear. Then that's not me, mate. That's Two Times says the comments are not appearing. Then top left-hand corner of the chat. Yeah, you know the chat, top left-hand corner. Change it from top chat to all chat. That could be it. I'm not an expert on these things, but it could be it. The comments are never, to my knowledge, visible. No, Tuesday time, you're wrong. You're wrong, mate. You're wrong. When the video first comes live, that is correct, but the video is still rendering because I go live and then it becomes obviously a video later. These live streams you're talking about. The reason why when it goes live after the stream's ended and it goes live and you don't see the comments, that's because it's still rendering. If you actually leave it and come back to the video the next day, all the comments will be up. That's the point. You're not leaving it long enough for the video to render, for everything to compile, to actually get it so the comments come up on the video. I see what you mean now. Yeah, you just wait a few hours. That's all. You know, if you've watched the live stream and you want to come back to it, then just come back to it the next day or a few hours later, and all the comments will have populated. You'll see it. Lawrence Taylor says, Gordon, you deserve this for what you've been doing. Thank you, mate. Oh, Gordon, you've been doing this for what you've been doing. Thank you. Thank you, mate. Gordon, thank you, mate. All right, Lawrence. Don't repeat. Thanks very much, mate. No, when it's edited. Well, when it's edited, then I have to upload it as... When it's edited, I have to upload it as a standalone video, and that never gets the comments. When this live video, after it finishes, it still has to sort of render and finish rendering. So with regards to the comments in the comments section, if any comments in the comments section are disappearing, fucking YouTube, I don't know. I don't bother with them. I don't bother with them. If I see a nasty comment, I'll delete it every now and then, but most of the time, honestly, it's worth water off a duck's back now. It's only pretty much anti-Semitism and what have you that I make sure I delete. And fortunately, you know, there's not, I mean, there is anti-Semitism, but there's not rampant anti-Semitism. It's just idiots who are probably saying the wrong words a lot of the time. But yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Thanks very much. That was very nice. A Labour government is needed, says Gully Gullible. You know what? I'm going to end on this, Gully Gullible. I don't think a Labour government is needed at all. I think a progressive government is needed. That's what I think. I think a progressive government is needed because, you know what? Labour says to me left-wing. And progressivism isn't left-wing. It's not a left-wing only ideology. I have many people who... Enough people have come up to me now in the street and recognised me and come up and said, hi, you're Gordon Dimmack. And then I've had a brief conversation with them for me to say this. The majority of people who come up to me and say, hi, I like your channel, etc. The majority of people are actually on the right. The people who I've met so far. And they are the ones that say they're on the right. They say, I'm a right winger, but I agree with almost everything that you say. That's not because I'm left wing, you know? That's not because they're not agreeing with me because they're right wing and they're left wing, no. Or they're not disagreeing with me because that doesn't even come into it. What comes into it is left wing and right wing, it doesn't fucking matter. Probably 80, 90%. You'll agree on. Just talk to each other. Honestly, you'll find out, oh shit, we agree on this. Why are we fighting over this? Why don't we come together and get this done? Well, yeah, why don't we? Yeah, and then maybe you can sign my anti-immigration bill. No, you can fuck off. I'm not signing that. But let's get this done. 80% of... honestly, it's huge. The amount of stuff you actually agree on is massive. And guess what? You're not fucking getting it. Look at America. You all agree. Left, right, doesn't matter. Obviously, more people, more Democrats than Conservatives, but you all agree that you should have stricter gun checks, correct? Are you getting them? Anytime? Ever? I know they've just brought a bill forward and that, but really? They didn't bring that bill forward, well, I don't know. They had a filibuster-proof Senate for the 2 months, did they? When Obama was in. Why didn't they bring the bill forward then? They could have passed it then. They're not in control of the Senate now. Do you see? Left and right, it doesn't matter. Most of what we want, the vast majority of what we want, you know, better healthcare, better education, better stuff for the kids. You know, you could even say, all right, an immigration policy that's work and benefits the country. There are so many different things that you agree on. It's not left or right or anything. Left and right's an illusion. Left and right is what they do to, you know, say fight, to stop you actually joining forces and saying, hold on a minute. Most of what we actually want, we agree on. It's only the stuff around the edges. But the stuff we agree on, we're not getting. It's not a Labour government we need. It's a progressive government. Same in America. You don't need a Democrat. You need a progressive. And not just a progressive, but a progressive government. I hope I don't I hope I don't try and bang that point home too much and sound like a broken record, but I do think that people are too divided by this left-right paradigm. You know? People are too divided by it. You've got to stop thinking in terms of left and right and thinking more in terms of, neoliberal, neocon, we both fucking hate them, don't we? Left and right. Both liberals and both progressives and what you would call conservatives, we both hate the neocons and the neolibs. There's what we fight against. If we fight against, they can't win. But the division tactics, separating us, playing left against right, left versus right, ooh, hate each other, ooh. If you actually talk to people, you'll find you agree with them way more than the telly box is telling you. All right, let me just check something before, just to make sure that something I've done something, and then I'm gonna bagger off. Wow, 202 watching. You'll find you agree with them. I'm glad I didn't way more. Oops, sorry. I'm glad I didn't see that earlier. I would have shit myself probably. Thanks very much, everybody. I will back. Happy with Farage. Oh shit, yeah. Glad you mentioned that. Sorry, somebody just mentioned Farage. This is something I didn't actually put in that story that I did on Brexit. I'm really sorry I didn't put this in. Maybe I can record it now. Let me just record this. Another thing obviously, another thing to consider is, when are the European elections going to be? Because if we are going to have an extension to Article 50, then we're going to be competing in the elections, in the European elections. And as we know, Nigel Farage is making a return to politics and standing in those European elections as a member of his newly formed Brexit party. So they're on between the 23rd and 26th of May. So if Article 50 is extended 2 months, congratulations, Nigel Farage and his Brexit party will clean up and wipe the board. And then we'll have, if we have a referendum where it's May's deal versus Corbyn's deal, and we end up remaining, the country will have decided to, hey, all right, we'll vote Remain now, whilst at the same time, UK members of Parliament are flooded with people who are anti-EU and pro-Brexit. The whole thing is just, it's just preposterous. Oh dear. EU elections in May, So with the Brexit, so if they have an extension of Article 50, the return of Nigel Farage. Oh God. Just when you think it couldn't get worse. Right, I'm out, guys. Thank you very much for everybody who supports me. I couldn't do this without you. Like I say, I'm on my way to the Ecuadorian embassy. I'll be going to that vigil on March the 10th. I will have to confirm it with MEB first and find out exactly what's going on. And yeah, all good. And I've got quite a few videos that I've got to record again tomorrow. So I shall see you then. Thank you very much. Do you want to say goodbye? You want to say goodbye? Come here then. Say goodbye. Say bye-bye. In the paw. Hey, paw. Ellie says goodbye. Thanks very much, everybody. Peace. Love you all.